Hello, good evening, and welcome to, well, I was going to say a celebration of Hopeless Maine, but it's more an accumulation of things. It's more a collection of esoteric bits and pieces that we've kind of pieced together. Good evening, my name's Keith, Keith of Mystery, if you like. And I'm a member of the Hopeless Maine Scientific Society, and tonight we've assembled everything we know about the island, pieced together from various bits and pieces, and we're now presenting it to you in this evening of Voices of Hopeless Maine. But of course, we don't know really whether Hopeless Maine is real or not. Is it real? Is it not? Is it just the figment of some deranged minds? Speaking of deranged minds, here are two people who think that Hopeless Maine is their creation. I mean, who knows? Good evening.
Good evening. What an amazing segue that was.
It was smooth, wasn't it? Very smooth. And good evening to people that are watching. Hello there. I can see people in the comments. So do put some comments in because we can see them. And so here we are. We have Tom Brown, who is the one sitting down with some of the hair. And we have Nimue Brown at the back, who is being entirely sensible as always. So yes. There we go. How are you both? How are you both?
Oh, I'm sorry. Doing all right. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So we're going to, we've got quite a lot to pack in tonight, actually. It's amazing how much stuff we have. We have an enormous amount of stuff. We've got poems, we've got performances, we've got some videos, we've got some songs, and we got a fantastic performance later on from Walter Sickert. So we've got all sorts of things coming up, and we haven't got a lot of time, so we're going to press on and go straight into it. So I will be coming back to Tom and Nimue from time to time, and as I say, do add your comments in the comments. That would make sense, wouldn't it, really? And then, so I'm going to start off with something that tells you about arriving at Hopeless Maine, or various different ways of arriving at Hopeless Maine. So this is from Meredith Debonnaire, and this is called Finding Hopeless.
Come in, dear traveller. I hear you are looking for directions. Yes, sit down. Now, you want to get to Hopeless Maine? Are you sure? You've been warned about it, yes? The witches, the eldritch terrors, the night potatoes. All right. I can see that you are stubborn and headstrong, and you will not be dissuaded. Not even if I tell you that most people are desperately trying to come the other way? It was worth trying. Now, let me think. Directions to Hopeless Maine. Well, there are a lot of different paths, yes, and they tend to shift. I can't guarantee that you'll arrive safely, or arrive at all. So here, my dear traveller, are 3 ways of getting to Hopeless Maine that will probably succeed. You have been warned. 1. Collect all your best spoons. Lay them out in the centre of your bathroom. Lock the door. Nail it shut. Turn the light off. Watch the spoons. Wait until the walls start crawling and you can hear things skittering. Wait. Do not take your eyes off the spoons. Everything depends on this, dear traveller. Sooner or later, a creature will arrive. It will take the spoons. If you are lucky, it will dance a slow and mesmeric dance. Watch the spoons. When the creature leaves, you must follow it. Try to avoid looking at anything other than the spoons. The sight of the creature itself has been rumoured to cause madness and soul-deep tea cravings. Path number 2. Contrive to find yourself shipwrecked while carrying the following in your pockets: 1 month's worth of nail clippings, yours or someone else's, a single baby tooth, any species, a very sharp fishhook, a small bottle of rum, a turnip, red shoes, and a memory stolen from an elderly relative. It must be an actual relative, although if you are lacking in these, a memory borrowed from a badger and an ivory hair grip will substitute. It is preferable to be shipwrecked on a night with a moon. Once shipwrecked, you must follow the moon. So long as you've not lost any of the listed accoutrements, you will find a road of moonlight to walk along. There will be beings, dear traveller, that demand tolls. Be very, very careful about what you give up. I heard a tale about a venturer. Well, you were so set on going, and I would hate to dissuade you. What happened? She traded the wrong thing to the wrong guardian, you see. The outcome was not pretty. Path number 3. On a windy day, with the sun shining and the clouds scudding over the sky, build a labyrinth. It need not be a large one, but the materials must be light. Walk it, turning back in every time you exit. If the wind changes the labyrinth, do not correct it. If this technique is working, you will find yourself walking in smaller and smaller circles and getting quite dizzy. There will be a quite unseasonal mist and a sound best described as a choir of snails trying to sing. Keep on walking, around and around. Side effects of this route include ending up somewhere else entirely, although they are likely to be more pleasant places than the intended destination. Now, are you still sure you want to go?
So there we go. That was Meredith's take on how to get to Hopeless Maine. Do you think any of those will work?
We haven't tested any of them extensively.
No.
We have our own methods, but
Yes.
it is my understanding that she's researched this very carefully.
Really? Because I just thought it was hearsay, but there we go.
Yeah.
Well, next up, we've got another tale of arriving at Hopeless Maine, and this is from Craig Hallam, who is a terrific author and has written a number of books, including the Grieve Burn series and I've just forgotten it, the Alan Shaw series, which is a lovely steampunk series. A lovely chap, and he has this character who is a poet, and I'm not going to say any more. I'm going to let him explain. He's going to be bringing us a number of different poems, giving us different views on Hopeless throughout the evening. So this is the first of his sections.
Hi everyone, my name's Craig Hallam and I'm an author from Doncaster in the UK. Today I'm coming to you to share some poetry from Hopeless Maine's resident poet Algernon Lear. Now a little bit of context about Algernon before we get started. In the late 1800s, Algernon was a failed romantic poet. He aspired to the dizzy heights of Wordsworth, Shelley and others, and unfortunately never quite made it. And so he escaped London and, more importantly, the critics, and headed to the New World hoping that he would find himself a muse. Like many people who end up on Hopeless Maine, he never quite made his destination and washed ashore there and has been there ever since. Now, when Algernon arrived on Hopeless Maine, you might imagine that he found his muse, that he found the skill that he was missing, and he became the poet he was always meant to be. Unfortunately, that's not really how Algernon's story goes. Sure, he found plenty of inspiration in the dark and gothic setting of Hopeless Maine, but he continued to be a not very good poet. Now, obviously, we wouldn't say this to Algernon's face. He's a very gentle-natured person, and we wouldn't want to hurt his feelings, but as it's just me and you here, we can be honest. So, I'm going to read to you from Algernon's works. Bear in mind that while he never actually reached those lofty heights to which he aspired, there are some merit to his works. So, I hope you enjoy hearing them. So here's Algernon's first poem. It's called Upon Arrival in Hopeless. A veil of mist covers the screaming shore, smoke pouring into a drowning moor. A sea of green glass laced with antique foam rattles the bones of the beach. The sea tastes the shore and the beach bites back, splintering hulls and breaking backs. Hopeless dark beauty looms like a threat, and a dream's sweat prickles the skin. Crawling from the surf to clandestine shore, paying forth brine from our lungs, the island gifts rotten breath. We arrive in debt to a ledger writ in abyssal hand. So as you can see, even Algernon's arrival was not the nicest moment in his life.
So that was Craig Hallam with Upon Arrival in Hopeless, the first of a series of poems we're going to hear from his poet Algernon. And we're going to move straight on to, we've had contributions from all over the place, and this next one is from a shed. So this is Penny Blake and Tentacoils.
Ahoy! This is Penny Blake, hiding in my shed to bring you my offering for the Hopeless Maine Online Festival. I really hope you're enjoying it, whatever stage you're at. This poem is called The Tentacoils. I hope this sounds okay for you with the howling wind in the background there, and that I don't look too ghoulish. Or maybe I do, and maybe that just adds to the atmosphere. Either way, I hope you enjoy it. 'Twas chill blissed, and the tentacoils did writhe and wrangle midst the wave. Beleaguered was my little boat, far off the coast of Maine. Above the storm a voice sang fell, a knell, if not a note in tune, but the wind did snatch the words away, and left my soul in swoon. Beware the mermaid's child, it sang, the howlers wild with nails that slash, the noisome knee, the beasts of sea, and those your spoon would snatch. Beware the tentacoils, it sang, beware the singing succubus, the eyes that glow, the shades that grow, and demons of the dust. But firm I took my oar in hand, long time in dark for hope I sought, till in hopeless state I came to rest, and lay awash in thought. And as in lone despair I lay, demonic shades with eyes of flame came salivating for my soul, and sang, oh sang, my name. And so a while I'll linger on, and wander hopeless in a daze, and bathe my soul in demon song for all remaining days. 'Twas chill bliss, and the tentacoils did writhe and wrangle midst the waves. Beleaguered was my little boat, far off the coast of Maine. There you go, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of the festival. Okay, blessings to you, and please remain always utterly yourself.
Oh,
So there you go.
oh, that was beautiful.
Straight from the shed.
Oh, that's amazing.
along with genuine noises of tentacles in the background there. So that was all good. So the next thing is we've talked about how you arrive at Hopeless, and a lot of the ways of arriving at Hopeless are basically by boat. So quite a lot of people arrive by boat and get shipwrecked. So I guess there's quite a strong background in sea shanties on the island.
Understanding, yeah.
So I think we should play one now. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to play a little sea shanty, and you might recognise a couple of the people in this video, I think.
Don't think so, no.
Definitely not.
No.
When I was a little boy, my mama always warned me away, all away, all away, Joe. That if I kissed the undead girls, my lips would go all moldy. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, together. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, we'll hope for better weather. Away, all away, Joe. Once I had a normal girl, but she was awful lazy. Away, all away, Joe. And now I've got some hopeless girls, and they all drive me crazy. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, together. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, we'll hope for better weather. Away, all away, Joe. Once I had a mermaid girl, I thought that she would thrill me. Away, all away, Joe. But every time we got it on, she always tried to kill me. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, together. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, we'll hope for better weather. Away, all away, Joe. Once I had a jellyfish girl, and she was very charming. Away, all away, Joe. She always tried to poison me, I found it quite disarming. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, together. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, we'll hope for better weather. Away, all away, Joe. Once I had a vampire girl, and she was fond of biting. Away, all away, Joe. She only did it for the blood, and we were always fighting. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, together. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, we'll hope for better weather. Away, all away, Joe. Once I had a ghostly girl, and she was all a quiver. Away, all away, Joe. But when I tried to jump on her, I landed in the river. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, together. Away, all away, Joe. Away, hey, all away, we'll hope for better weather. Away, all away, Joe.
There we go. That's very nice. I like that. Were you singing along? Is everybody singing along at home? I hope so. Has a very good chorus. It's I recognise the song and some of the words, but I'm sure some of the words have been altered from the original Haul Away Joe that I know.
Yeah, that's entirely traditional.
Yes, a tradition of where, though? That's the question.
That's the thing. We were listening to the Longest Johns, and they'd swapped in a verse about Bristol, and I think people quite often do sing it about their bit of the world. So
it's very common with sea shanties to kind of make stuff up and add stuff in and change the lyrics and words and everything. So And if we're talking about waves and ships, then I think we can have another lovely thing. And this lovely thing is, I think, written by Nimue, and it's recited by Pauline Pitchford. I hope I've got this right. And it's called To Ride... I feel like a DJ. It's terrible. It's called To Ride a Surf Horse. See if I can get you one. I know that joke, yeah.
Greetings, gentle and not so gentle beings. It's a delight for me to be able to join you today and read one of the pieces from the Hopeless Vendetta. This is a piece written by Nimue Brown and inspired by some of the artworks of Dr. Abbey, and it's called To Ride a Surf Horse. It is a horse day. Usually tumultuous, the sea is a grey sheen of deathly pallor, and so still, glass still. Unnaturally so, assuming anything in this place could properly be called natural. The sky is also grey. This is perfectly normal. The sky is a cold, untarnished steel grey, polished smooth, and hanging over the sea, each a mirror of the other, passing grey smoothness back and forth into infinity. In other times and places, it is the lively rush of sea foam that gives birth to surf horses. Here, where the usual rules are seldom honoured, horses are most often born in stillness and in silence. They come from the waves that never were. The sea undulates softly with them. Grey explodes into vivid green and vibrant blue. Where colour infects the placid sheet of the poised and waiting sea, the horses come, proud and wild, ferocious and terrifying. They are like no horse you have ever seen, and yet still they are pure horse. Nostrils flaring, flanks powerful, tails flicking water to make brief, unlikely rainbows in the air. If they come to you at dawn or sunset, catching shards of light from a distant horizon, they may seem more real than anything else. On this island of misty greys and insubstantial haunting things, the horses in the water may look more substantial and more trustworthy than the uneven sand beneath your feet. They speak of other ways of being, these horses. They say in whispers you can almost hear that if there can be horror, why can there not also be delight? Look into their deep, soulful eyes for the delight they promise. Look into their tooth-sharp, not so equine mouths for the horror they are capable of. They are beautiful and they are grotesque. Between the sea and the sky in this dire and perfect moment. Catch one if you dare. Ride it in search of dreams. You can never return. Whether you have left the island with them is another question entirely. The sea is vast and deep and very cold.
Oh,
That was
that beautiful. Wow.
having feelings.
I should explain to anybody watching that Tom and Nimue have abstained from watching any of these things or seeing any of these things, which I think is quite I think it's brilliant. It's interesting. So this is the first time you've seen many of these things as well. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I mean, well, you're in for a treat. I can tell you that because I have watched all of them and I have prepared all of them and set them up. So yes, some of them are quite wonderful and really, really lovely. So that was Pauline Pitchford with To Ride a Surf Horse, which was written by Nimue. Now, the way this is going to work is we're going to kind of do hourly sections and we're going to take a break between the hours. So I'll come back to that at the end of this little piece. But I suppose we can't really get too far into Voices of Hopeless Maine without talking about how Hopeless Maine came to be. So with the danger of breaking the fourth wall, tell us how did Hopeless Maine come about?
Right. Want me to start this one? Okay. Hopeless Maine came about actually. I'll tell the true story. I was actually in a transitional homeless shelter at the time, and I wanted to create something good and ironically hopeful, and entertaining, and for people. And so I took the germ of the story I'd had in my 20s and started reworking it there. And I was drawing and writing bits at the table, and the other people at the shelter were coming around and were getting interested and excited in the story at the same time. So I carried on in that vein for a while, and I did move out of the shelter eventually. But Salamander was born in a transitional homeless shelter. And I think that's important, actually.
I shipwrecked 12, maybe 13 years ago. It's all very real.
Yeah. Yes.
So now between the two of you, one of you, short size there. One of you does the writing, and one of you does the drawing, or does it overlap a bit now? Because I gather it overlaps a little bit now.
It overlaps.
Everything overlaps.
Everything overlaps. I started the story before I met Nimue online. And then I started reading her work, and I knew that she had to be the one to write the story because she was perfect and amazing. And she wrote a story, and it was clear that she understood Salamander better than I did. So I was like, please write the story.
Also, I am a weird undead eldritch creature, which is a tactical advantage.
Yeah, so you're definitely a wonderful writer in a way. I'm a big fan of your writing, and of course I'm a big fan of Tom's drawing, which is why I kind of got involved in the project. But tell us about what was the first thing you produced then? Tell us how the first thing that came out of Hopeless Maine.
We actually started with the Hopeless Vendetta with the blog. That was the first thing that anyone else really got to see. We were doing that while we were trying to get a webcomic going. So it started with just kind of like weird news items from the island trying to lure people in. Then there was webcomic. I actually wrote Sinners, which is currently book 2 if you get Sloth, book 3 in America. God, I'm so confused. I wrote that one first, and then Tom went to some kind of anime thing and came back and was like, I have seen the power of the cute, and we must do this. I'm like, okay.
Big eyes, the big eyes.
The first 2 books are kind of prequels. They came out in America, 9-10 years ago initially. Didn't go well with that publisher. They were poo. So we moved to Sloth, and Sloth is great.
Yes.
And now there's this huge sprawl of things, books, prose, your prose, other people's stuff, role play game. I don't know. I wake up in the morning and sometimes it just attacks me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is an awful amount of stuff, and I mean the main place to see what's going on is the Hopeless Vendetta, which is on the web. Now, remind me of the web address.
Hopelessmaine.com.
Okay, and everything's on there that we need to know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, if it doesn't, remind me, and I'll put it up eventually.
Now, the other thing about Hopeless Maine is you've got lots of other people kind of involved, and one of the wonderful things you've done is kind of open it up to other people. What was kind of like the thinking behind that? Because most creators usually keep stuff very close to their chests and don't really share them. So what was the thinking behind opening it up to other people?
It's more fun.
Yeah.
I think I'm not actually the first writer that Tom has utilised. And the people with different skills coming in is just fantastic. So that whole, you can do a thing. Do you want to do a thing with us? As kind of you've been doing that from the beginning, haven't you?
Yeah, I actually in the real proto version of this, which was on CDs, because I thought, it needs music. I had rap artists from the US doing weird gothic rap and soundtrack of This is before Professor Elemental came in, so he was not the first rap artist to perform Hopeless Maine material.
Cool. Well, that's something that I haven't heard, so I'm going to have words with you afterwards and track that down, because that sounds intriguing. So now we have a huge range of things out there, and in the States they've just been publishing the graphic novels as hardbacks, in new editions, which is quite fun. And they've also published the short stories that, the story that you wrote, Nimue, and the short stories that I wrote in a publication as well, which is rather fun. So that's good. Yeah. And there's all sorts of other things out there that people can find and fall in love with again and enjoy. But tell us a little now about the island itself, because obviously we've kind of alluded to it, and we're going to kind of be telling the story of Hopeless in various different ways through various different media over the course of the evening. But what's your take on the island?
We think now that Hopeless Maine might be the one fixed point in a vast and inherently unstable universe, and that people wash into it, not just from places around the world, but places around the worlds, which is one of the things that makes it so difficult to leave. It seems to be disproportionately attractive to people trapped in Victorian eras of various kinds, but that's about the only constant we've discovered at this point. It is a damp, haunted, unpleasant, unfriendly place full of antisocial people with some real personal issues, but also dust cats. So it's not all bad.
Walkers,
So now you're talking a little bit about the flora and fauna, and we're going to have another session at 6 o'clock. So we're breaking this up into kind of like little different segments, and so the title of the segment at 6 o'clock is Flora and Fauna. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the strange flora and fauna of the island, which I gather is probably more likely to be unfriendly than friendly, and probably more likely to eat you than ignore you. So that should be quite fun. Then of course we've got various different people and places as well on the island, and we're going to be talking about that at 7. But what are some of the? Just give us a brief outline of some of the characters on the island.
Well, there are 4 founding families on the island, and they have particularly self-indulgent stories about how important their arrival was, which may not be true. There are the Chevins, who are your ultimate renter mob. If you want dribbling idiots with pitchforks, they are your people. That is not their story. That's my take on them. There are the Frogs, who we are pretty convinced probably paddled in from Innsmouth at some point historically. They're a bit squamous. There's the Oathstote family, who see themselves as the descendants of royalty, European and otherwise, have massive grandiosity and self-importance issues, and usually just end up murdering each other. They're a nice crew. Our main character is descended from this family line, but is slightly less psychotic than average.
From them, not of them.
From not of them. That's the one. And then there's the Joneses, who allegedly all washed up on a Welsh pirate ship many years ago. But how Welsh they really are, we're suspicious.
But as well as the families that are there, we have a few protagonists as well, key players. So can you give us any inkling about those?
Oh, what should we tell you? Well, it really depends on when you jump in as to who's alive and who we've killed off.
Yes, and obviously without giving too much away.
That's the problem.
Yes.
People get cross with us when we kill off main characters, and
stories about it anyway.
But there is Salamandra, and she has successfully survived so far. Starts out as a small child in the first book, and we follow her through growing up weird and magical and antisocial, and having a massively dysfunctional family background, and weird neighbours and demons to deal with, and all that kind of thing. She's odd.
Not a witch.
Not a witch.
No.
You seem fairly sure about that.
So behind us, if we were to...
Where's Sal?
Yeah, but I mean, there are some kind of recurring characters as well, like the wonderful Doc Willoughby.
He is such a charmer, as Doc Willoughby.
Yes, I like Doc Willoughby a lot because he's kind of, you know. And then there's the Reverend Davies, of course.
Yeah, he's got issues.
He's complicated.
He does seem to be.
It gets more complicated as it goes on.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's, with all these characters, they tend to grow and change and so on. And some of them even have adventures. One of them even has adventures off the island, I believe.
Oh,
Yes,
briefly.
yes. Owen escapes.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to more stories about what Owen does when he escapes. Mary keeps threatening to write this whole thing about Owen's adventures with gay pirates, where Owen is so oblivious, he just never quite works out why everyone is so keen on him.
Everyone is so friendly, says Owen. Yes.
Well, what's one of the things I absolutely love about Hopeless Maine is because it's kind of it's enshrouded in fog and mist, and so are kind of like a lot of the stories. So almost anything is possible in Hopeless Maine, which is what makes it so fun to write for. So I mean, I've had a play with characters and come up with I've come up with a not very good detective who is oblivious to things, and he's rather fun. And I've just recently created this new character called Two Spoons McGraw, who believes he's a cowboy, and I've got a story in mind coming up with him as well. And in fact, if I had more time, there would have been a song. But there would have been a song, but I didn't have time. So that's fortunate for all of you out there watching this that there is no song, but there might be one day. So we've got all sorts of things coming up, and just kind of thinking what else we've got to talk about. Yeah, obviously there's we talked about some of the creatures. So tell us a little bit about some of the creatures that we can expect to encounter on Hopeless Maine.
Right. Well, there are a lot of things going on the island, and there's a lot of background magic, and I'm not going to get into too great detail, but because of this, the island just throws off one-offs with literally frightening regularity. And so you'll wake up in the morning and you'll look out your window and you'll see something new and hideous every day. And that's just part of the excitement of Hopeless Maine. But there are some things that have stuck around and managed to actually reproduce. Now and then, we've got the spoonwalkers, which are very, very, very popular, and they are the reason that you won't find your cutlery, and they're also the reason that you can't sleep at night because there's noises in the kitchen and clattery noises and little glowing eyes. They're not directly harmful for the most part, spoonwalkers, except to the completeness of your cutlery drawer. Then there's dust cats, who, if they're very, very, very fond of you, when you die, they will eat your face, which I think is really, really sweet. That's me. On that, I don't know.
And my favourite is the glass herons, simply because the heron is probably my favourite animal, bird, creature in this world. They're slightly more vicious, should we say, in the world of Hopeless Maine, but they're kind of more unusual because they have glass tummies, so they're really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will be talking more later, I'm sure. So, as I say, I'm just going to remind everybody how all this works. So we're going to be doing this in a series of hours, if you like. So on every hour, we'll be starting a new broadcast and covering a different topic. So this first one really has been about Hopeless Maine and about Arrival. At 6 o'clock, we're going to be talking about flora and fauna, and we have a number of lovely things coming up in that, including a song, a lovely song. We're going to talk a little bit about the film, because there's a sneak preview of something that may be in the film. And then we've got, at 7 o'clock, we've got People and Places. So we're going to be talking about the people of Hopeless Maine. And we've got a full-length story as well, which I'm looking forward to, called The Cargo, which is very interesting. And then at 8 o'clock, we've got a section which is called Others. And basically this is about things and people that are related or not quite connected to Hopeless Maine. So, for instance, Cthulhu often crops up, and there's a minor overlap there. There's we're going to be talking about the tarot cards, which have come out, which is quite nice, and we've got a couple of other things coming up as well. So some of those are not directly related to Hopeless Maine. And then obviously at 9 o'clock, we've got the fantastic Walter Sickert and the Army of Broken Toys doing a performance. That will be separate to this, but it will be live on the same page. So we're hoping that works at 9. And that will be followed by kind of a good night story, if you like, a story from Matt McCall. So that's what's coming up later. But for now, I think we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back at 6 o'clock with our section on flora and fauna. So thank you, Tom and Nimue. So do join us again at 6 o'clock. It should come up notifying you that we're going live again. If not, just keep an eye on the page and you should see it there. But for now, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you again at 6 o'clock. Goodbye.